edition of the MSME survey in partnership with Africa 118. What this is, it's a vital piece of research that really just highlights some of the challenges, some of the obstacles that micro, small and medium-sized businesses are facing throughout the year. What we can see year on year is that these shocks, these challenges, these barriers, they shift quite drastically based on things like inflation, based on things like interest rates, and no one member of the entire economic sector is more exposed or more vulnerable to these economic shocks. So with that being said, I'm just going to get straight into it. This is an initiative that is run annually by Africa 118. Africa 118 is I'm going to read this because Ezra is not here, but a Pan-African provider of data and digital services for small businesses. Africa 118 connects millions of businesses across the continent through and supports their online visibility through affordable digital marketing services. So we utilize Africa 118's database of MSMEs across the continent, and then we have as GeoPoll, have a high volume survey platform that allows us to survey and reach out to these respondents, gathering this critical data. We then do the analysis, and then we bring these results to you. We've had some collaborators from some of our academic partners this year. The World Bank given us some really good insights into the types of questions to ask. And then IFPRI, which is the International Food Policy Research Institute, has also guided us a lot on the analysis portion of it. A big mistake I made last year is I focused too much on the data and not a lot on the actual insights. So this year, we're really just going to focus on some hard-hitting shifts in what those insights have been from year on year, and then open the floor up to questions and maybe have an open discussion on what this data means in terms of your own strategies connecting to these customers across the region. Right, the methodology we used is we started out looking at some core themes listed over there. We brought in some new themes there. We focus on everything related to employment trends, access to technology, adoption of AI, certain challenges, critical barriers, things like that. But as this starts to morph into a bigger kind of annual study, we start to bring on a lot more concepts and themes. This year, we really focused around taxes, corruption, ethics of doing business, as well as looking at data privacy, as well as cross-border trade. We have collected 600 responses from MSME business owners across 4 countries, Ethiopia, Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa. And what we did is we collected this via computer-assisted web interviews, essentially either through email or mobile web links being sent to these owners' phones, collecting data back, and then verifying it through a centralized platform. Just a quick look at who we have spoken to. A wide array of sectors were included in the study. Everything from transport to retail to small manufacturers were included in the study. No one sector was essentially over-reported on. And then the majority of the businesses were self-employed. 1 to 5 employees, very small or micro businesses, but we did expand that all the way up to about 100 plus employees. Just a yearly snapshot. So looking at year-on-year comparisons across some really key metrics that focused on scaled questions or questions, yes, no types of questions, not ones with a lot of answers. Just give me a sec. So, businesses report that we are existing in a better business environment. All right. The better business environment. Are we in a better business environment? No. This is self-reported to be roughly about 20% less. I think during the 2023-2024 period, businesses were rebounding from COVID, and essentially a sentiment was a lot high in terms of what that business environment was. Optimism does still remain quite high or higher, 10% higher, despite layoffs being increased year on year. More people are getting access to loans, which is actually quite surprising. Essentially, what I'm thinking is that as soon as interest rates started to stabilize, more access to formal financial channels were made available to these MSME owners. The use of AI tools has increased drastically, no surprise there. I suppose when the technology becomes more accessible, so does the adoption rates. Increased tech usage, increased use of mobile apps, as well as increased digital spend, all being reported by these owners. So looking good, specifically for the people in the room, I assume. Right, the biggest challenge by far was inflation. All right, inflation, eroding margins, eroding profits, increasing the cost of procuring goods and services either in the production process or to resell. Number one reported issue is these financial constraints of inflation. Now, this is predominantly seen in Kenya and Nigeria. Those of you who do business in Nigeria, us, anecdotally, we have a registered entity in Nigeria, and we don't work pretty much with MSMEs, but we work with big corporates, and we're going through currently a round of essentially firing a bunch of clients because we just cannot service that business at these reduced margins for ourselves. So if it's happening at a corporate environment, it's definitely happening with smaller players within the space, which is something that I think everybody in this room, if you are doing business in an African context, needs to pivot and needs to understand how to do it. And it generally relates around using local resources, sourcing locally, avoiding import costs, and essentially just changing your operational structure to be a little bit more efficient in these high-price environments. So further issues identified, a key would be to look at what Kenya is reporting at is terms of high taxation. We all remember the Gen Z-led riots of 2024. That was really pushed by this increase in taxation across Kenya. So when the government acts, the people speak, and that is exactly what happened. But that is really felt by businesses in the region as well as market competition as key items. But through this, 60% of MSMEs are expanding their operations, and 65% of them are planning to hire in 2025. So really just powering through a lot of the challenges that were faced in 2024 and continuing to look forward in terms of catalyzing some sort of growth in 2025, which I think is really a testament to their flexibility and their grit. How are they doing that? Leveraging technology. Technology is an absolute lifeline. 80% of MSMEs now use mobile apps for key business functions, ranging from e-commerce, accounting to marketing, and is set to increase from 74% in 2024. 81% of businesses promote through social media. 49% have a website, 75% intend to boost their digital spend in 2025, and this is up from 65% in 2024. So really looking positive in terms of reallocating spend towards those digital channels. Embracing AI, 57% of businesses are already actively using AI. This is up by quite a bit, and I'll go through some of the AI dynamics in a second, but what this is really showing is that as an aspect of this entire use case of technology, AI is really being used to drive cost efficiencies within the business. And then skills development. So there is a bit of a massive gap in terms of what businesses see as empowering their own skills within the business. So there is a massive skills gap between mobile apps, digital products, and AI within the business. It's really, investment is made to train both themselves and staff to bridge the gap to bridge the skills gap. Okay, the top four tools around SaaS products and digital platforms is around digital payment systems, cloud computing, business analytics tools, and AI-based software. AI is helping businesses save time and money. 53% of businesses have reported AI improving increased efficiency within their businesses. And 16%, or close to 17%, have reported reduced costs. And 19% have reported improved customer engagement. Now, if we can see where the usage factors are of AI, it's all being really just allocated majority towards marketing and advertising. This can be anything from content creation to generating outbound emails, but really just the use cases for AI are focused around marketing and advertising. So we can assume that a lot of these reductions in costs, increases in efficiency, as well as improved customer engagement are all related around the marketing and advertising channels and how AI is improving that. Some of the barriers, as we've mentioned previously, is the lack of knowledge and training. This offers an opportunity for consultancies, digital enablers in the room to essentially focus on training. Prior data has shown us that there was a fear of engaging with AI, but a no necessity to do so. And this was really, I think, around not being left behind. So now people are fully using it over this past year, and now we need to determine how to convert the remainder 42% of users or businesses who have not adopted it in their operational processes. Okay, where is marketing being allocated and who is handling it? So spend on social networks is up, word of mouth has stayed the same, owning their own websites is up, email and SMS is up, search engines is up, events and conferences is down, and then related on third-party websites or sales channels is down as well. Traditional channels pretty much remained the same. So this is where the bulk of the marketing spend is being allocated or set to be allocated in 2025. And who's managing that? So we've had decreases and increases across the board. Quite a stark increase in actually allocating a lot of that spend to digital or external agencies. So this is quite something, considering that there's now a lot of tools in AI that will allow kind of the incorporation of a lot of those digital services in-house, but a lot of these businesses are still preferring to export those services to external agencies. Freelancers have increased, in-house teams have decreased, and you don't do any marketing has decreased. So less in-house, more external, looking to really capitalize on expertise from external vendors. Right, this is quite interesting. I found something's really happening within the traditional finance space. So a couple of years ago, all the talk was really around fintech, alternative finance, micro loans to businesses. What really happened? That's only still in 2024 and 2025 accounting for 7% of all capitalization for MSMEs across the continent. What's happening? Where are all those fintech companies that we were promised many years ago? Whereas actual traditional finance has seen a massive increase in granted loans. Are they packaging a lot of their loan products a little bit more effectively? Is there flexible payment methods and payment periods that are allowing a lot more uptake of traditional loans? I don't know. That's just what the data is telling us over there. So 63% of MSMEs who applied for loans got a loan in 2025. This is a massive improvement from about 3 years ago, somewhere in the triple digits, or three, 4 times what it was back in 2022. So yeah, I think traditional finance has kind of listened. They've stepped up and they've developed the relevant products that are able to service these markets. 38% of capital is bank loan generated, up from 28% in 2024 and 14% in 2023. So yeah, that's I put there steady growth. That's really, yeah, it's not steady growth, it's big growth. But 50% of these businesses still rely on personal savings and dipping into their own personal savings to fund their businesses, which is not sustainable and it doesn't allow for effective growth. One of the reasons, the main reason why micro businesses, medium and small businesses are being rejected is a lack of collateral, a lack of security, poor credit history, regulatory restrictions, the loan amounts are too high, business is considered too risky, and the complexity of the application process, I thought, was a quick win, right? I mean, with the way we can streamline information from one party to the next, with all the third-party intermediaries that we have within the traditional banking space, we can really just kind of convert 6% of the entire business owner market to acquiring more loans, and we can do that overnight. One of the barriers of applying for a loan is the high interest rates. Fear of debt, I think, is quite important as well. Again, complexity of the application process. This should not be something that consumers are actually facing right now with the business environment that we are in. Some of the verbatims that we collected from our respondents, there is a lack of actual foundational documentation to be able to go and apply for loans. I think this is apparent throughout. I mean, look, I think when we look at why users are struggling to get loans, I think as a bank, and both in traditional finance as well as in fintech, a lot of these are easy to address. If we see where these support needs are coming from, a lot of it is around working capital. These people need working capital to improve their cash flow and be able to cover expenses, to be able to expand, to be able to grow, but also need applications around business grants and support for putting out grant applications. Equipment financing, access to investors, tax relief programs, training on financial management, I think leads back to that skills gap that was present a couple of slides back, as well as compliance readiness, I think is very important and has been mentioned as what these needs and support needs are. So to all the banking customers or clients in the room, take note. And human capital is essentially holding back growth. So 50% of businesses surveyed say that skills are digital skills are the biggest workforce gap. AI and sales skills are also lacking. 78% of MSMEs offer staff training, but they need help to scale up digital finance and marketing skills. And most businesses offer training internally, but require external support to scale these efforts. Capacity building should engage both business owners and employees through hands-on learning approaches. Okay. One of the new areas which we've collected, now this section in the actual survey is probably about 15 questions long. It covers both compliance, taxation, as well as cross-border trade and data privacy compliance. I've tried to really condense it down in a very meaningful way. But most of these MSMEs are very vaguely aware of certain compliance requirements that are needed within their business in order to either apply for finance, bid on tenders, go for bigger and larger clients, go after bigger and larger clients, and get through procurement. So I think it's really important that a lot of training and awareness is dedicated towards compliance, both from a regulatory perspective, but also taxation. This is going to allow these business owners to punch and box right above their weight class. And I think it's something that both consultants as well as digital enablers are able to do. So if you're in a digital enabler, you need to focus a lot of your products around digital compliance. If you are a consultant, really look at their target audience, who they are essentially going after, and what their procurement processes and policies are in order to advise them on how to navigate them. And if you're a financial institution, is to really underscore the need, I can underscore the need for actual compliance training directly from the bank to the customer. I am going to I asked a friend of mine who's a consultant, I don't know how to develop ideas based on the data that we've collected, but I sent this report to a friend of mine and asked if he could just sit down and give me 10 different things that stakeholders to MSMEs can do based on the data that we collected. And what we have is some strategic recommendations, which we can go through really quickly. Just give me one sec. Okay, so fintech microloan providers are only accounting for 7% of credit usage. Where are you at? I think this gap can be filled with effective technology and suppliers in the room. Flexible repayment and pricing models. Cash flow for small businesses can be very irregular. Rigid monthly payment schedules might deter them. So flexible payment options is key. Financial literacy and trust building. Value-added compliance and tax products. This can be value-added SaaS products provided by financial institutions to customers, such as accounting software. So for digital marketing and tech enablement firms or consultants, create affordable, scaled-down marketing bundles that fit micro and small business budgets. Offer training and DIY support. So we recognize that MSMEs may not immediately jump to outsourcing all of their activities to external agencies. So hold their hand, keeping it in-house until capacity and until internal capacity is reached. Provide clear, simple dashboards and reports showing growth in leads, sales, or engagement attributable to your efforts and the spend that they do with you. Start by offering AI assessments or opportunity assessments. Many small businesses, even the ones that are using AI, may not understand how their business can fully benefit from it. So starting and offering an AI assessment as a value-added product within your consulting efforts might be beneficial. Encourage the business owners to try AI throughout small pilot projects, focusing on specific, narrowly focused areas of their business. So don't just drop a solution, help them learn on how to apply it. For SaaS vendors and technology providers, simplify the onboarding process and user experience to gain more adoption. A mobile-first approach is necessary, given that 74% use mobile apps for their business. Ensure that your SaaS solution is fully functional on mobile devices. Implement a staged approach development where an MSME can start with a very basic web presence and then add on features as they grow. And then a big fear for small businesses is, if someone builds my site, will I be able to update it? Thank you.
Ricardo, thank you. Time for a quick question, which I will ask, and if someone else has a quick question, they're welcome to as well. Just any thoughts on how this compared with the US data? Because it seemed like in both cases, AI specifically, there's fairly aggressive embrace. Would you see it the same way? Do you see any meaningful distinctions between the two markets?
Yeah, the AI adoption rate, I think, was pretty much on par, around 57%, or at least above 50%. Yeah. I do fully agree with you that it is really being adopted predominantly by, small businesses versus the large corporates. I know every time my wife wants to use ChatGPT, she has to log out of her VPN in order to do so. So, yeah, I think businesses of this size have a lot more freedom to engage in new technologies without the risk of their company's data. Maybe there isn't much risk to begin with versus some of the larger businesses. I think there is definitely a skills gap that aligned quite closely.
The skills gap is interesting to me because isn't AI sort of a way around a skills gap? In a sense that it, I mean, if you don't have the skill, you get AI sort of fills that gap that is the missing skill, right? I mean, I'm wondering if this AI skills gap is really a thing.
I think in order to truly, in order to truly utilize it, we need to identify what products are available, how to prompt, how to structure data streams for the AI to incorporate and to give you the results and the efficiencies that you need. So, I often struggle with this is when I'm using AI technologies around mainly for transcribing and open-ended coding in the research space. If I don't properly instruct it as to what pools of data and variances between respondent profiles, I can get completely.
So this is the AI skill that everyone needs.
This is. I would like somebody. I would like someone to come in and actually show me how to use it. There is.
I guess this gets to the point of AI as a force multiplier for businesses. Like, you don't have a team to do this. You get AI to do it because you can't afford the team or whatever. There's a gap of understanding of how to use AI that will prevent that from happening, at least initially. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone have a quick question? Otherwise, we're going to move on. All right. Please join me in thanking Ricardo.